crushing these tournaments. Let's hear from him right now. Hey everybody, I'm here with Team Handshake captain David Inglis running Rakdos Evoke this weekend. Why did you choose this deck?
Yeah, with a format as wide open as Modern, there's so many different decks you could run into. Really just trying to play a proactive deck that, is aggressive, gets onto the board early, disrupts your opponents, and can just handle any deck that comes its way.
And this deck is so extremely powerful. Let's talk about one of the hallmark cards of this deck, and that's Grief. What does this card do in this deck?
Right, Grief is, exactly what I just described. Is no matter what cards your opponent's playing, you can always take them out of their hand with Grief. So it's just a really flexible, versatile, proactive answer. You can cheat it into play on turn one. You can hardcast it later in the game. So it's just really flexible, really proactive and disruptive.
This card also seems mean, if I may say so myself. It seems a little rude, but also extremely powerful, as you mentioned. But it has a cool combo in this deck with cards like Undying Malice. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Undying Malice is a weird one in this deck. Most Modern decks are playing the most powerful cards from the last 20 years, and this is just like a limited, draft, filler card you might play in your draft deck. But it just so happens it synergizes very well with the Evoke cards. Also works well with Doughty Voidwalker. Your Ragavans, what's better than a Ragavan that they can't kill? So it just ends up playing out really well in the deck.
So what's the busted turn one you can have with this deck?
Yeah, you can play, turn one Grief, evoke it, take their card, Undying Malice the Grief, take another card, and end up with a 4-3 in play on turn one. And a lot of people just can't recover from that start.
Yeah, that sounds really awesome. Another really great new card, new addition from the Lord of the Rings, Orcish Bowmasters, is in this deck, and it is taking over Modern. What is its role?
Yeah, this card is just super flexible. If your opponent is playing, cheap creatures, it's going to take them out and, leave presence on the board. So it's really good against creature decks. Most non-creature decks are drawing cards. So against them, you're stacking up the damage, stacking up your orc army. So it's just really versatile, great against everyone.
Yeah, this card seems awesome. Another one I want to talk about is Doughty Voidwalker from Modern Horizons 2. Full 4 of in this deck, one of the newer cards, but you're the only deck really that plays this card. Why are you running it?
Yeah, this is a unique one. It just so happens it synergizes very well with the deck. When you're playing Grief and Thoughtseize, you're taking cards from your opponent's hand. So if you have the Voidwalker in play, those cards get exiled, and you can steal them, steal your opponent's, Ulamog, Emrakul, some of the most powerful cards in the format. It plays very well with Undying Malice. You cast Undying Malice, sacrifice it, get it back, steal their card, still have your 4-3. And this is going to sound silly, but a 3-2 with Shadow just hits hard. No one can block it. It's really hard to deal with. I've won so many games by just turning my Voidwalker sideways 5 times and getting them dead.
How confident do you feel with your choice this deck this weekend?
I feel really happy with this deck. It's been performing very well on Magic Online. It's just sort of the deck to beat in the format, and it's very powerful, very efficient, and not really any deck I'm scared to play against. So
okay, well that sounds good. I mentioned at the top of this interview that you're the captain of Team Handshake. You all did really well at the last Pro Tour. How are you feeling going into this weekend?
Yeah, we're stoked. A lot of us are already qualified for Worlds, and we're just trying to run up the scoreboard, get more people qualified for Worlds, and just keep riding the wave, enjoying the success.
If anybody at home is taking a look at this Rakdos Evoke list saying, hey, this looks super powerful, do you have like one overarching tip for anybody playing this deck that they would like to take with them?
Yeah, this deck is really tricky. You really want to be mulliganing to fast starts. You're really trying to leverage the power of the cards you have and deploying them as quickly as possible. So don't be afraid to mulligan to 6, 5, 4 until your hand looks really good.
Are there any matchups you're worried about this weekend?
I'm a little worried about the Rhinos deck. We weren't expecting it to be that popular, but it is a bit of a tricky matchup. They put 2 4/4s into play, which is tough to deal with and have a lot of disruption for your fast starts. So hoping to dodge that one, but really I'll play against anything.
All right, David Inglis, this deck is so sweet. It seems like you can do it all. Rakdos Evoke, thank you so much and best of luck to you this weekend.
Thank you.